Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review Leprechaun 4 in Space. It's one small step for man, one giant leap of terror.
Directed by Brian Treacher Smith and starring Brent Jasmer, Jessica Collins, Miguel A. Nunez Jr., and Warwick Davis as the Leprechaun. A group of Marines are contracted to kill an alien, and while doing so, they stumble upon another beast. It's the Leprechaun. Now, what do we like?
This is just a parody film of any sci-fi movie from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I thought it was funny. It added a different charm to the Leprechaun, because normally he's witty and he's joking around, and in this case, he's joking around to references of things that people have seen.
We also have some great sets because they're sets that we aren't used to. Everything looks like it's straight out of Firefly.
They did a really good job with the makeup and the special effects in this movie. We love the Leprechaun, we love Warwick Davis, and he always looks great. But in this film, we have a spider scorpion robot humanoid that actually looks way cooler than the Leprechaun.
I was shocked at how good it looked.
I mean, we had a really hilarious looking cyborg person. That's a different type of makeup. It was very funny, but the monster looked really good.
So we talked about the sets and we talked about the special effects, and combining those two, they use forced perspective to make Warwick Davis, the Leprechaun, just a giant ass leprechaun.
All right. Big is good.
When they're actually filming him as a giant, you know they're only using like regular size like props. This film also had very interesting characters, and I enjoyed all of them. I really enjoyed Stick's character more than anyone. He had a lot of good one-liners.
I spoke with the medic. He said everything is just fine, as long as you use your protective glove when you pee.
But at the end of the day, he was a Marine at heart. He was a hero. He was the protagonist in my book.
No disrespect, books. You guys may know him as Spider from Return of the Living Dead. And he's like 50 something, and he looks identical to how he did in Return of the Living Dead. Since we tend to talk about babes, we should probably talk about the babes. And we got babes. We actually have like a babe straight from Baywatch, the motherlode of babes.
We got a babe from Home Improvement. She was Heidi, Tim the Toolman, and Al Borland's assistant.
And of course, like our main female lead, Tina, was absolutely dynamite. You couldn't ask for more.
But we do want more, and we got it. This film had my favorite gratuitous nudity scene in any movie ever. And I remember this as a kid and seeing the princess flash her boobs. That was the most memorable thing in this movie for me.
Unspeakable pain awaits you.
Yeah, what hurt me first?
Now let's move on to our dislikes.
To counter the special effects and all the makeup in this film, the visual effects were definitely not on par. The 3D models were terrible. Like, there was no textures to them. They just didn't look real. Like, it was very bad.
I also really didn't like this story because it was kind of boring. I don't know how that's even possible, being that there's a leprechaun in space in a spaceship. You've got love interests, and there's a lot of shit happening in this movie, but I was still really bored with it because it wasn't fun. Like, I think one of the major things that was lacking from this movie was like comedy. It was a parody at times, but there were no jokes. This one, I get why it's critically panned.
Always wear a prophylactic.
There are good moments in this movie, but I don't think there's enough to outweigh the bad.
And the ending of this film was the weakest in all of the Leprechaun series because it just ended.
And like the finale is not very special at all. Like the whole last half of the movie isn't very exciting considering all of the cool things that you would think were happening if you only saw a trailer of them.
This film did have a lot of kills in it, but we didn't get to see any of the kills, which is disappointing. There were some pretty potentially cool kills that were just all done off screen.
Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. Unfortunately, Leprechaun 4 in Space is the weakest in the franchise. It's not that fun. I didn't really like the characters. There aren't really any kills, and it's just kind of boring. I did appreciate the special effects and what they were going for, but it wasn't executed well other than like the actual sets and the special effects. So honestly, I wouldn't recommend this movie, but I mean, this is the 4th in the franchise. If you want to see all the other ones, you kind of have to. So I'm gonna give this 1.5 weird-ass scientists out of 5.
Leprechaun 4 in Space went in a completely different direction than the rest of the Leprechaun series. Yes, they did a great job making it a parody to sci-fi, but that's not what we like about Leprechaun movies. This film just didn't have any kills. It was too focused on the humor that it wasn't even funny, but I did enjoy a lot of the characters in this movie, and I did like a lot of the practical effects. It's enjoyable because it's a Leprechaun movie, but it's just not the best one in my opinion. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 2 leaving him hanging out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film. If you've seen it, if you haven't and you do want to check it out, there are links in the description where you can find it. I recommend, if you're the director, can you make Lep in the West? That'd be great. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond.